All right, we want to welcome everyone to the Park and Rec meeting of Monday, June 26th here at the Rosemary Recreation Complex. We do have a quorum. We do have one of our members, Dean Hannigan, that is coming in via remotely. So we do have full attendance and it's good to have everybody back. Going through the agenda of what we have tonight, as we always do, we'll go through the item agendas that we have and then just pick up where we left off and any input that we can give from fellow commissioners and throughout the night. We will do that. So starting off here, we have the open forum for public comments. I know that we have one attendee that we have on the screen.
An attendee, but no questions.
No questions. All right. So if no questions from the open forum for the public comment, we'll move on to the second article that we have for the pickleball group. And we have Lisa Rhodes. Who's here?
I do a brief public comment.
And we'll go back to the public comment.
Yeah.
Yes.
Less than 30 seconds. My name is Bob Baker.
Okay.
And we're from a group called Needham Disc Golf.
Okay.
We'd like to engage the board eventually in a discussion about bringing disc golf to Needham as it's come to many communities in our area. We looked for a proposal, looked for an idea, and you're in thought. I'm going to help talk to Stacy sometime later so we can ask how to get you all proposal up to speed on what disc golf is and where we see that happen. We see several spots needed with that response.
From my recollection, the closest place that I know is Medfield, that I know that has a disc golf around the high school area. That they have disc golf, so I know I've seen it and very familiar with it, and I think it's great, you know, for new programs that are out there. So please, any research and documentation and items that you have to present, you're welcome to, you know, look through what you have to present.
Great, it's coming your way.
Perfect. All right, great. Anything else for open forum public comments?
Can you try turning the camera on now?
Yes. Of course.
So there was a group in need of that's called Frisbee, right? Or something Frisbee. Are they not active anymore? Do you know anything about that? That's going back a few years.
We have an ultimate Frisbee group, so it's still plays on Tuesday.
And it's adults, right?
That is correct.
Okay, so that's different, very different with your adult. Okay.
Display was totally green sport, totally environmentally friendly sport.
Thank you.
And for all of you who came on.
How many members do you have, or are you just beginning now?
We have a lot of members online. And it's a, you know, before pickleball was fast growing sport and units.
Well, that's great. Well, any other questions, comments? All right, great. Thank you very much. We look forward to seeing the proposal. All right. Going to the second article that we have is pickleball group. Lisa.
All right.
Floor is yours.
Great. Where can I see
Right there is perfectly fine, Stacey. Is that all right?
In front of the mic, please. Yeah, have seen it.
Please come right up. Split the 2 points.
Excellent. Probably too close to anyway. Okay. Well, thank you for allowing me to speak this evening. I'm really sorry. I think I know most everybody here at this point. I apologize. I couldn't be here. I was on an airplane during the last meeting. I had the pilot restart the Wi-Fi twice and it wasn't working. So in any case, I wanted to address the proposal that I sent out about a month ago. I wanted to clarify the underlying intent of the proposal, talk about the proposal itself in the limited scope and the request within it, and then also talk about some ancillary pickleball issues that came up in the last meeting.
Okay.
So the proposal was written in the aftermath of the vandalism. It was written to be a solution to a problem that had grown to be so large that it made national news. Needham is a beautiful community, and this was quite an embarrassing event that we certainly don't want to see repeated. The idea to separate the tennis and pickleball user groups where fair and feasible was to avoid further conflict. It was not simply a proposal asking for more courts. So what I did was, with some help, I went around, I collected data, I analyzed the data, and I drafted a proposal that I really tried very hard to create a fair solution for both pickleball as well as tennis. The highlights from the data, and I don't know the updated badge numbers, but I imagine it hasn't changed a great deal. But at the time I wrote this a month ago, the badges were 2 times the number of pickleball compared to tennis. 70% of badge holders were pickleball players. In particular to Mills, this is a really interesting piece of information. tennis players generally don't use Mills anymore. They just don't go there. They know that pickleball players are there. And with the exception of one or two, maybe neighbors, I don't know who they are, they just really aren't there. There are 20 times the number of pickleball players compared to tennis at Mills. So after I crunched all the numbers, I tried to create this proposal that was fair for everyone. To be abundantly clear, because this was not clear the last time, we are not asking for exclusive use of Mills for pickleball. We are asking for one more multi-use court, one more multi-use tennis courts, 2 pickleball courts. And we are also asking to increase the pickleball priority hours. The purpose of that is, first, is concordant with the data. It's fair to look at the numbers. And second, it's very easy for the community to understand. Most of the disputes in town have been over who gets to use this court right now. And having all the courts lined gives every user group access and makes it, the priority hours really make it very clear about who is able to use that court at that time, and hopefully ease any confusion.
Okay.
So that's the proposal. Now to move on to the comments from the last meeting, I also wanted to address a couple other things. Non-resident badges, I'm almost afraid to even use this terminology. There's so much talk about it. It is not in the proposal. This is not part of it at all. You will have a challenging job to figure out what to do on that front to alleviate curiosity, because this was raised. Why are people in the pickleball community wanting non-resident badges? First of all, I'm not a proponent of it. I would vote against it if I had a vote, but clearly I don't. But the rest of the community, their arguments are that you're leaving money on the table. These people are coming, they are allowed to play. Why not collect a few $1,000s? Fine. And the other reason is we are now friends with these people, so we're just trying to have their backs. There was talk about Needham taking on other towns' problems. That's really not the case. Every town in the area has pickleball courts for the most part, and they all have their own unique set of problems, whether it be noise or court access issues, or even infighting within pickleball at different skill levels. They're all different. We all play with each other's communities too. I played in Wellesley today. I did not play in this today. I went to spray courts with the noise issues and maybe annoyed a few neighbors over there. The last thing I wanted to talk about, yeah, no problem. The last thing I wanted to talk about was playtime scheduler. I know that there's some confusion over that too. We don't use it strictly. We don't use it to take attendance. Playtime schedule is very much a communication tool. The group is large enough that we need some way to be able to talk to each other and coordinate who plays when and where. It gives guidance to the group at large to allow things to run smoothly. And it allows people to determine which groups are appropriate for them based on their rating and skill levels. It helps prevent too many people from showing up at the same time. Without playtime, I would estimate there would be, what do you think, Jimmy? 60, 70 people on a Saturday morning?
There'd be a lot.
A lot, way more than could be accommodated on the number of courts there are.
And people have brought up a lot of times about how, well, you didn't sign up. It's sort of like a suggestion.
Yeah.
It's not a hard and fast. A lot of people just show up and we welcome, everybody's welcome.
Yep.
Whether they sign up or not.
Definitely. Yep, that's what I mean by we don't
At the
take attendance.
beginning, when people started playing pickleball, it was sort of like people were discouraged to leave if they didn't sign up.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not that way. When nobody even, I mean, there's so many people playing.
No one checks
It
that.
doesn't even, nobody cares.
Right, right, absolutely. And to that point, we absolutely allow walk-on players. There was a lot of talk about beginners not having access to the courts. Beginners can come whenever they want. Anyone can come whenever they want. These aren't our courts, and we understand that. Beginners don't want to play with the advanced players because they're over their heads. It's not going to be fun for anybody involved. The really cool thing is because of the Park and Rec clinics that Paul held, there are a bunch of players right now, and they actually are creating sessions. There's been a huge uptick in the number of beginner sessions in the last week or two, and they absolutely are coming. And people from all over are coming to Needham because it's an issue in every town.
And it's only really a problem with the number of people first thing in the morning and possibly at night.
Yeah.
But there's the whole middle of the day. People are just starting, their own everybody has their own, like, what clique that they play with, so to speak. Well, maybe not clique,
Group of friends,
group of friends.
yes. Yeah, so that's what I wanted to address. I did have 3 very quick, particular, specific requests. July 8th, from 8 to 9:30. Paul and I were hoping to have a new player orientation, so we would request access to the courts at Mills to do that. The more the merrier, there's no limit. If you need to sign
I
up
would
to
do
start
something
in
direct
rec.
in the office, so you can
Okay.
have him email myself or Derek.
Okay,
And
perfect.
then we can just make sure we get some signage up there.
Okay, do that
We do that
tomorrow.
for other rooms.
July 9th, from 9 to 12, we are hoping to have a social. So again, we'd like access to all of the courts. Just a social group of people.
Send that over. Send that over to.
Oh, okay. And then this is a follow-up on Paul's prior request to have access to Mills for his tournaments. He said July 22nd is when it would begin.
Thank you for bringing that up. I need to get back to him about that. I need to coordinate. I need to talk to some of the other towns just to confirm.
Gotcha.
And we can do that. But
Okay.
thank you for bringing that back up.
Okay,
July 22nd. Thank you.
at 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
Is that a weekend? I'm not looking at a calendar. Is that a
Sunday.
Sunday? Okay, so it'd be a 1-day tournament?
No, every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks,
Oh,
okay.
you know that my son's getting married on that day. I know what day.
So you'll be there at the tournament.
Uh,
All right, thank you
Okay.
very
Thank you for
much.
doing that. And just have him or you send all the requests over for those days.
Well,
Thank you.
Lisa, thank you very much for the clarification on that. And I know that all those questions were definitely asked and we appreciate you doing the follow-up for that. So it definitely helps. Any comment from the commission? We'll go Dina first because you're on screen. If you can hear us, because you're muted.
Yep,
Hey.
I can hear you. I just thank you for that, and just want to make clear that they're aware that this is still something that needs a vote for us to move forward with. Correct?
Yep,
Okay. Okay.
definitely. Okay. Any other comments or?
No, I think I had a question, but it was she ultimately answered it. So no, I'm good. Thank you.
Perfect. All right, I'll go around. Any commissioners have any questions? Feel free to make comments or questions or anything right now. Okay,
Do you want to start?
I was just thinking that the most important thing from all of the proposal is lining the fourth court. I mean, it doesn't take away from anybody's. It just allows more people to access,
okay.
you know, not extending hours, or that seems to be like the simplest thing to approve.
Okay. Definitely. Any other questions, comments?
Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, we're going round robin.
So I think this is still uncharted territory for us, right? We have these courts that are used for tennis and now pickleball. In the past, don't believe we have scheduled these courts for tennis. We've never scheduled them other than our own programs, right? Or the schools. So this is new to get requests to, it seems like a special event request, right? That is coming for these courts, and we've never done that before. So I think we need to move cautiously with that. Because that means, it sounds like you're asking Lisa for exclusive use on these days or these times, right? And we haven't done that before, other than for school. So I want to be cautious of that, because we do have tennis players. I don't happen to play tennis, I don't play pickleball, so I don't think anyone in my family plays either of those sports. So don't have a lot of knowledge of it, but I do know people play tennis. Obviously, a lot of people play pickleball. So I think we need that whole special event request process followed, right? Where we know, and is there insurance and all that kind of stuff. But again, we haven't done it before, so I think we need to be cautious. We're asking the tennis people to pay the same price as the pickleball people for the badges, and now you're going to take some time away. So I want to be mindful of that. I really try to be a good steward and good neighbor and all that stuff. That scheduling software that you use for playtime, all that, I know that's great for you folks. it's not the towns driving these sports one to the town. And I always try to think the facilities in the town were built by the taxpayers, and the taxpayers have a right to use the fields, the buildings, whatever. So if that stadium software works for you folks, that's great. That doesn't mean that we want that to be the overriding factor, right? I'm not sure. Maybe we do. I'm just, again, I think we need to be cautious because if someone shows up to play pickleball, but they weren't in their software, can they not get on the court? Because that's not our policy. We change our policy, that's fine, but we spend a lot of time on those policies over the years. So that's something we need to also be mindful of.
Cindy, can I just jump in on that one comment? We have actually had a lot of tennis players ask for us to come up with a scheduling software because they are finding it hard between pickleball and our programs. And now we have summer camp up at the high school for our tennis camp. They are also looking for a scheduling software. I'm certainly not looking forward towards another software, but I just wanted to make sure you had that information that tennis is also looking for.
Right, and I'm not sure we're ready to embark on it, quite honestly. I'm not sure that you have the staff to take over scheduling this, right? The field scheduling.
No, I have talked to a lot of other towns because we're not obviously the only ones going through this, and there are some towns that are using specific where they own the software. People, once you get a membership, you sign up for it's a whole process. Okay. You know, I think it's a 50-50 mixed bag.
And that would be great. I would also want to know what their fee structure is.
Yep.
Because we charge people who use the fields a pretty hefty, right? Yep. It's a pretty hefty price. And I think our badges are very reasonably priced. But I don't know how we compare to other towns. Again, I don't play this sport, so I don't know how we compare. So I would want to know that.
Yeah, I've been going back with Nick, but I can get more information from them because they're the one town that is like making it a requirement if you become a badge holder. So I can see how it goes. We can see how it goes for them this summer too.
Okay. And I'm guessing we want to update our policies so that we now update courts, right? Because right now we've always focused on fields in our own building. We have another point. Oh, non-residents. I don't know if we're going to talk about that, if that's on the agenda or not.
It's always on the agenda.
It's always on the agenda.
Mm-hmm.
I right now would say, again, I'm saying cautious and be slow, and I would definitely feel that way with non-resident. It sounds like we have plenty of demand in our own town with our own residents. And again, I'm mindful that the residents who live here are the ones that pay for those boards or pay for the upkeep of those boards, right? And non-residents paying up, you know, $50 or $100 badge fee is not the same as the rest of the people who pay their taxes. So I would, again, think we would want to go very slowly before we entertain the idea of non-residents. And it sounds like we have plenty of demand already. So do we really want to open it after that? Same as we do with the field, right? You really need to be a needed group, a needed residents. Pretty tightly tied into the need of the community. That's it.
Michelle.
Just highlighting the fact that recreational use seems like it's dominated by pickleball. We still have high school players there during the year until the updates are done. And I think that there's still opinions about whether they would prefer to have pickleball lines on those courts. So we have one that does not have lines on it, and we just need to be sensitive to the high school players that are going through this upgrade at the high school. They need to be using the Mills.
I agree.
Course. So we need to be sensitive. I think that some of that lining and maybe communication around it was what sort of triggered some of the behavior. And so lining the last remaining tennis court, I think, could create additional animosity.
Yes, but do you know what the high school courts are going to be done? I thought that it was going to be the other strength.
Oh, please. It's going to go to you anyway.
So we have a design company, so we're working with a design company. We will have construction numbers that will go towards the FY 25 budget, which will be voted on in May of 24. Okay. So we can start construction after the spring season. We can't start it before this. And ideally we do it obviously in the summer.
So the earliest would be fall of 2024.
Perfect. That would be the,
Yes.
the earliest we could get those.
Is there, at the high school, are they pickleball team? Is there pickleball up there?
Good question.
Because if it isn't there, I don't know.
So.
Yeah.
There's two things. One, the wellness classes play pickleball often. In fact, they're very excited to have the pickleball lines up there. The other side of that equation is while MIA does not, they do allow to have pickleball lines on tennis courts, except for one caveat. If you have other lines on your tennis courts, you can't host championship or playoff matches.
That's what I was just gonna add.
So they can play regular season, but right now the only courts we can actually host championship matches on are at Newman.
So the courts at the high school will most likely not have.
I mean, we will involve the new athletic director and the tennis coaches on our tennis group and on this group. If we have more than 4 courts, which is what we're shooting for, maybe. If we can only get 4 courts in, probably not, because then that ties their hands that they can't host.
Yeah, they can't, that's what I was gonna say. They can't play an MIAA championship game at all if there's any sort of pickleball lines on the court.
Okay, good points. Shall I follow up or?
Yeah.
Okay. The comments I have, just, I'm gonna jump all over the place here. Lisa, and I think it was great when you mentioned about the scheduler. That's not really a schedule, it's more of a guideline.
Yeah.
So where you see it like, it's more of a informational, piece to it. I think that's great to know, because I think Jim and one of the other people last time said, people know like there's an advanced group that starts first in the morning, then maybe the intermediate groups later in the morning, and the newer players are at a certain time. So it's good to know that the community knows, hey, if I'm a novice, I'm not gonna go down at 8 o'clock in the morning because that's when the advanced people are playing. So it's good to know the community is doing that. Because I always say that it's always good to be more organized than to have chaos, that even though we have the fields, we do our best to schedule everything. You're always gonna get those offshoots of people being where they shouldn't be at certain times. So the more organized you are, the better. I do like that. It's good to hear, I mean, or at least now to know about the MIAA, you can host things on there. That I'm not saying we never will because of our tennis teams, but I don't want to take that away from them for something like that. But again, that's something that the new athletic director will have to have conversations with, and we're putting the cart way before the horse. A question that I will ask is, with the high school right now, I know that we have programs up there. Is the pickleball community using the high school courts at all? Because I know they were lined last year. Is it almost like Mills just because, or is it less, is it more, or?
I think there's a few groups that play at the high school, but it's for pickleball, it's extremely windy up there.
Okay. Would you say more of like the novice groups, or like the first, the first players are kind of playing more at the high school, and the more advanced are playing down more at Mills just because of the area that it's located?
Yeah, it's either.
Okay.
Players or family, like I want to play with my 4-year-old, my 6-year-old. I'm not going to put a nail in with my high school.
Okay.
Things like that. It's not only the wind. I would be hesitant to put pickleball up at the high school any more than it is. It's not that the noise is going to calm down. I can see a lot of noise like that. I just remember walking over by the center farms.
Wow.
So if you get pickleball around the block, it's going to be a problem.
Okay.
A different problem, a new problem.
Great. Add that to the list of 1,000.
It is being used enough that we are getting, that's some of the tennis players saying, like, I can't even get into the courts at the high school because,
It's abuse that's being done.
that's.
Okay.
Dina did have a comment. I thought it revealed once I put her hand down, but now she went back up.
Yeah, I
Either
did
you're
that
on.
by accident, sorry. Yeah, I just wanted to just add, I think that we all, and of course collectively we'll have a discussion as commission, but I think we need to just maybe take a little bit of a step back in that the temperature of the situation, as we know, is high. And I think that while we definitely want to work with the pickleball community and we want everybody to be happy, things sometimes need time. And you know, it's like this saying, like if a new coach comes in to take over a team, you don't make all the changes within the first couple of weeks. I think that I just want to just be very cautious about and just let everybody know, not on the commission that's there. I'm sorry, I don't know who's there. I can't see everybody, but that if this may take some time, I don't know, we have to have a discussion, but I think that we have to tread really, really carefully here.
I mean, yeah, Dina, I agree with you on that. I mean, we have a lot of coals in the fire right now, with a lot of projects coming up that are going to affect a lot of user groups, that if we're going to do something, we're going to do it right. And being in the municipality that we are, it takes time to do things right. There are boards we have to go through, and certain things that if we're going to do a project and make it the way that we all envision it with the user groups and the commission and the director, it's going to take time. And that's the frustrating part, but that's the world we live in for certain things like that.
Right. And at some point, I think it's important to include Tennyson on this discussion as well. So and like you said, that's a great point, Chris. And it was in my head, I just couldn't get it out, was making sure it's done right. Right. I mean, that's important. So thank you.
Okay. Jim.
One comment about the potential pickleball social on
July
9 to 12. That's pickleball priority anyways. And I believe they've had socials before that have been approved by the town.
Yeah, I'm not really concerned about that. I mean, it's mostly on the field anyway.
Yeah.
Okay. And July 9th, just again, I'm looking at the calendar, that is regular weekday or weekend? Sunday, okay. Perfect. All right, any other comments, questions? Anything else in regards to that? All right, hearing none. Lisa, thank you very much for coming in and bringing us that update of the information, the questions that the commission had. We really do, and then we will talk about it further in our discussion tonight.
Right.
Okay, great, thank you.
Thanks very much.
All right, going up to the third article that we have here, the chair's update. As I always do, if anything pops up throughout the night, I'll just kind of bring up anything. But actually, one thing I'm going to get out right now, just so I don't forget about it. This Thursday is the dedication of a former colleague of ours, Mr. Dave Chico. There is going to be a memorial bench dedicated in his honor at Greens Field starting at 4 o'clock on this Thursday. Dave was an instrumental part of actually getting me to join the Park and Rec Commission, and I think anybody and everybody that ever dealt with him would all agree that he was a person everyone respected. And I think to get that out there and have it publicized by numerous groups, not only on the town, the Village Club, the Touchdown Club, any organization that he was part of, is going to be there. So anyone that has the chance to show up, it will be I think a very well, almost overcrowded event. So I definitely want to get that out there for a chance.
Yeah, I already, Chris, I let the TDC and JF know, so they're aware, and I also let all the high school football coaches know as well.
Believe me, I think the word is definitely getting out there, and I think it's the busiest that Greens Field's ever going to be besides opening day. So, okay, now we will jump to the director's report. Now, one other thing before, Stacey, I know you're going to get on me for this one. I know that we have missed a few meetings because of scheduling conflicts and other things like that. So if any commissioner has any questions about anything that we talked about previously, feel free to ask, because I want to have everybody kind of up to date, because we're all here tonight. So if anybody is forgetting something, doesn't know about it, please ask. We're all here to answer any questions that people might have. All right. You.
So this report I actually did the Friday before our last meeting. I was out this past Friday because I was with the kids while Jack was in North Carolina. And today was the first day of camp. Ooh. And so you'll all be happy to know we passed all of our inspections. So we are an official team.
How many years has we been trying to do this?
I don't know, but I bumped into the town manager, and she's very excited and thrilled, and we'll be giving her a tour of the camps next week. She wants to come by and check some of our grades.
That's
Which is
great.
a great thing to do if any commissioner hasn't done it.
Oh yeah.
To go around and look at the, I mean, I did that for a bunch of years, but it's very impressive to see our staff and how they handle these programs in these days.
Yeah, I was at all, well, I wasn't in Newbury today, I was at two sites today, it was, they're busy. The tennis courts were hopping today.
Yeah.
So yeah, so this is the real first week of camps and programs. Great.
It's very calm down.
Your phone's not ringing off the hook, right?
So in the director's report, you know, all the numbers are there. I haven't updated them this week. But on your Friday update, I will update the numbers again, so you'll be aware. Court badges, pool badges, and non-resident pool badges are also up there. Let's see. I do have some things. Oh, good.
So since our opening, we've had 2,800 people scan into the pool.
Is that including the soft open or just this past weekend?
Yep, so anywhere from June 10th to now. And we've also sold over 315 actual passes. So ranging from all the way of like weekend, weekday, AM, PM, senior, adult, so.
So they're not people with seasonal passes.
Yeah.
Those are just
Wow.
day passes.
They pass it, right?
And how many chocolatey players? Because I know Commissioner Chaston loved the chocolatey player.
We don't, we have.
Oh, we don't have this until Wednesday? Cindy will keep you in.
Yeah, you move it.
Some of these are updated. It's funny how fast we go. For projects, we have a meeting about McLeod this week. We met a couple weeks ago about Claxton. That's on the track to be brought to the fall town meeting with CPC blessing. We have sent out communication for both the Phasio and the NHS to have working group tennis courts to have working groups with the public. We've gotten about 3 to 4 people for each group.
Good.
The DeFazio playground bid, I think, literally just went out this week, so it's been posted for the design company. And for the tennis courts, we're using Activitas out of Dedham. We have another meeting, a regroup meeting later this week.
Good.
So we'll meet with the group and then we'll head up to the courts so we can do a site visit. DPW is currently working on the bid documents for the active rec working group. It's a fun time of year where it's like this, the fiscal year end and people are trying to use up all their vacation time. So it's not going as quickly as it could, but we are probably about 3/4 of the way there to post that one as well. And that's for the feasibility study.
Okay.
For financial aid requests, the last count was 128, 129 financial aid requests.
Doubled since the first, wow, okay.
So 2 weeks ago, that was 61, now we're up to 128.
I meant to say this, any idea how that compares to previous years? I mean, it's higher. I think it's higher than.
So we can compare it to last year.
Mm-hmm.
Because we have a better system in MRIRAC to keep track of what we gave out versus the other system. We did not. Rachel, who works in our office part-time, is working on a spreadsheet of exactly what this number is going to look like, as opposed to like a ballpark number.
Projecting.
Yeah, so she's going to figure out like which of these families requested swim lessons and pool passes and camps. So we'll have that probably, depending how the rest of this week goes, maybe by the next meeting.
And so some of those requests or some of those kids who get financial aid don't really take a spot from someone else, right? Like if we give a swim, a swim pass or whatever, right? But in a camp, they might, right? So
far we have not hit any maximums.
So, okay.
So they're not holding up the spots. Could at some point in August.
I mean, sure, right? It's good.
Right, sure, but
Right.
you know, people have had since March to register for camp, so I feel like if they're holding up a spot in August. It is what it
And
is.
that's a really good point, that people have.
People
that
have
time.
time, so
Right.
to date, we haven't had to propose anything else, swim lessons or camp programs.
Right. It would be sad if we could not accommodate these requests, if these people are qualified, it'd be sad. If we could not.
Yeah, and frankly, if they wanted to do sports specialties and we didn't have space, we could offer recess, which
Right.
because it all comes down to staff ratios now. So
Right.
if we can move staff around, because we do have a couple of floating staff, depending on the week, they'll go from Newman over to the high school or over to Elliott. So there are ways to accommodate, and I feel pretty confident that we're not gonna have to turn it.
Great, and we have some for swim lessons too, do we have, you know, like, because I think we feel so strongly that every kid.
I didn't even call you because I knew you'd be so happy with this request, but one parent asked if she could, instead of getting any camp, do 3 sessions of swim lessons instead, and I was like, absolutely.
Absolutely.
I don't even have to call about that house.
Yes.
So she was so happy about that. She was just like, my kid needs sport.
Great, no, thank you.
Stacy, are you able to accommodate all the requests, or do you need help? The financial aid requests.
Need help, you can make the check out to Stacy. We cannot accommodate everything that's asked for. We are looking at overhauling I'm looking at overhauling the financial aid policy and taking a look at what other people do to see what we can do, because 1 week for people that really need it just doesn't cut it. And with 128 of those coming in, it's more and more people that they have real needs. If the kid's not with us, they can't work, or if they're not with us, they're home by themselves. So
right.
There's 2 things as I look through these policies that, you know, how do we accommodate more, and are we going to have to cut it off? Right. You know, in one of my former communities, we had a pool of money, which wasn't real money, but amount of money that we would forgive every year, and then we had to figure out how to divide that up. Now, the community was only 6,000 people, so it was significantly less amount of requests. But I think we have to, once we get that number from Rachel, I'll have a better sense of like, what are we really looking at?
And these folks either have to live in Needham or kids go to the Needham school system.
I was trying to like brainstorm from our last meeting, like ways that we collectively as like youth organizations also could help here. And one of kind of the initial thoughts I had was like, you know, maybe if everybody like on their websites had like want to donate to the Park and Rec, you know, scholarship fund or whatever you'd want to call it, because we all as organizations, when I say we, now I'm speaking for obviously Need Field Hockey, but like are so gracious to Park and Rec and need Park and Rec obviously to function. So like maybe you and I could talk offline about some ideas I have. I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. And Dave Davidson and I are going to work on getting one of those buttons on our own website. So like if you're buying a pool membership for $475 and you want to donate $25 to the campship fund to help fund these kids going to camp, then that can all be set up internally in our software system.
Yeah, that's great, because I do that.
That's an after July 1 question for kids.
Yeah, that's great. That it actually helps, and you'd be surprised. It's in the Needham Youth Field Hockey's registration if they want to donate to the scholarship fund. And you'd be surprised how many, when it's convenient like that, how many people will do it.
Yep. Cool. And then field facilities, we've got our turf open. We have very limited use of our grass fields right now. That they're special requests. And every time I get requests for them, I go directly to Eddie and say, well, and he yays or nays it, and then we go from there. Other than that, the turfs are pretty in high demand right now, which is fine. They can handle it. And we are chipping away at our playground maintenance. It is we got some chips installed at Broadmeadow and Elliott.
There's a huge pile at Mills last time I drove.
We just had another one delivered at Mills. Eddie and his team are going to hit our smaller playgrounds with the Broadmeadow and Elliott. We had a blower truck come in and take care of it that way.
Oh, wow.
Which was good. And then we're just doing some maintenance with Tom Forte. He's going to go through playground to playground.
That was a gentleman that we met at Mills that day, right? Okay, good. Liked him. Question I did have, and I was looking through previous notes or just kind of remember this. For spring sports that have, say, equipment on the field, have those been taken off?
No, actually, Eddie and I talked today, and he asked that I send a email out to the user groups, especially Memorial, because of the fireworks.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, the fireworks. I was thinking more of everything else that's going on around town in regards to what happened in Newton. yesterday. A little bit more than a break-in
Oh.
in Newton. And then with the cars being stolen and through. Yes, car break-ins over the weekend, and then there was something over Newton that I'm just saying that youth organizations pay a lot of money for equipment that they use during the year. I'd hate for them to get vandalized, destroyed, and ruined
Yep.
when it's in the off season. And it also helps with the use of the fields, that's not sitting there as a cluttering kind of thing. So it's
Well,
kind of.
and I think Silver Fields have some very old equipment that we'd love to get rid of, and Eddie and his team should have to be the ones to do that, so.
Okay,
That would be good to, but he did ask me to send an email today. I told him I would not send it today, but I would send it this week.
It'll
Especially,
certainly be a big crowd.
well, and you know, if the fireworks land and whatever, so we're,
But if it's on the field,
yeah.
there are, you know, kids.
Kids
who are-
kids are gonna,
and
yeah,
we are.
kids are gonna be
take
kids.
out the dugouts, we do our best to keep them off of everything they shouldn't be on, but they have time. And they'll be hanging around, so no one wants to ruin or trample over.
just, okay,
Can I ask a really quick question about facilities?
no.
Well,
Go for
I'm
it.
gonna anyway. I had a community member ask why the water wasn't turned on the fountains in at the fields.
All of them or specific?
Well, I know I checked Memorial after that, and then I checked the fountains at which I'm not sure is our jurisdiction, but the new town center, and the water was not on it either.
I don't know about the town common. I can tell you that if it's a straight bubbler and not a bottle filler, we have not turned them on since COVID.
Okay, all right. It was the bubbler.
Yeah. So all the bottle field feeders, like where you can fill a bottle, those are all on, but we have moved away from the bubblers, even downstairs at the pool, because.
So we're gonna discontinue those?
We're in the process of swapping them out
Okay.
slowly to get them all to be bottle fillers.
Okay, awesome. Thanks.
Okay. Good question, actually.
And then lastly, on my report is your financial update, with court passes, pool passes, and then swim lessons. We added a session, which is not in here. We had session 0 of our swim lessons. So we have so many, like this is recorded. We have so many lifeguards and so many teaching staff that we added a session of swim lessons because we had
sufficient staff.
we had
Yeah,
sufficient staff.
Sufficient.
to add in. Now, it wasn't a very full session, but people were very happy about it. And I think, you know, depending on, you know, in the following years, where school ends will really depend on whether or not we can do this regularly. So we added session 0. And so we're the second week right now. So I'm sure my colleagues are not thrilled to hear that we have 2 weeks. And they all have, we have.
For now.
I was like, give it 2 weeks. They'll
Yeah.
be gone.
Right, well, that's. So I will say I came down to see the pool the other day and our assistant director, and it gave me a lovely tour, and it was a cloudy day, but we had plenty of patrons out there, and it looked like things were going great, and I'm suspecting maybe the weather being a little iffy in the beginning, maybe help us break the staff in, but
Yeah.
But thank you to from here on that.
Jim.
How does the income compare to like last year, like for foot badges and for pool memberships?
I've been running against last year.
I
I
was
think
just curious.
for the pool, it definitely feels higher. It's hard because 22 was really my first real summer here, because 2021, the numbers were not even close. So 22 was my first real summer. So we can compare it to last year. We just haven't done it. We've been comparing it to past weeks, but that's a good question. The last page of my report is the camp numbers. And so you can see where our numbers are and where we're starting to build up.
But that's very interesting.
No, it's great.
But it's good to know both again for camp and pool and sports.
So piggybacking on that, maybe for our July 24th meeting, do you think we could have a year to date from then? Because at least there will be a month in this year and where we can see where we were last year, where we are for summer camps, pickleball, tennis, pool, just to kind of see where the numbers are. Because we'll be probably at that same point at that time, we'll be in the height of the season. So if we can ask for that.
Do you have anybody that's looking for a job?
Actually, I have 2 as a matter of
Maybe
fact.
run some reports.
We'll talk on the side.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good question to really take a look into, because I think every year what happens is the camp doesn't feel very full, and then after week one, people just keep adding week after week after week. So we don't get we get a better sense at the end of the summer than we do at the beginning, but it'd be interesting to compare the two.
All right, no, Jim, great question.
Yeah, and the pool side is interesting just because so in 18 we opened for just like for 3 weeks, 4 weeks maybe. And then
That's fast.
19 had full season, was crazy. And 20 was COVID. 21 was COVID. So last year was the first time that we were operating mostly out of COVID. So this year could have comparison.
And I was not here before COVID, so for me, it's all brand new.
I would say the first year that we were fully open, like we estimated 27,000 visitors or something like that. We had just shy of 50. Like, because it was the new thing in the block, and it was just, I mean, it was a great number to have, but then good old COVID came. So. All right, anything else in regards to the director's report? Any questions, comments, concerns from the commission? All right. Moving on, discussion items. Again, some of these are ones that we just kind of use as placeholders. So if something does pop up, we have the option to talk about them. The new open meeting laws. I mean, no real update on that one.
Is there something that we need to?
So about a month ago, the Massachusetts Supreme Court passed a law that said you can't stop somebody from saying what they're saying in an open meeting, even if it's
even if it's not civil.
correct. So you had one or two choices to stop allowing open comment or have a very strict policy on minutes and time and how much people can talk. And that if somebody is singing our praises, we also have to stop them at 3 minutes, not just people that are maybe not being nice. So Chris and I talked before the last meeting and just about having like a 3 minute per person with like a 15-minute max time slot, which a lot of boards are actually writing right in their open forum public comment. It's not an official policy for this commission, so I didn't put it in the agenda, but some people are putting it directly in the agenda. So it says like open meeting, and then
So
bullet point one,
so
each person has 3 minutes.
So we could give one of the speakers tonight 3 minutes.
Yes.
And then maybe, and then we get 15 minutes to that topic or.
No, 3 minutes, but like public comment.
Yeah,
So basically you can have more than 5 speakers.
got it.
And after that, you have to wait to the next one.
I think also what we're doing is we're waiting for the other committees like finance and such, you know, see what their best practices are and see if we can get a universal type of policy with all the committees and commissions.
Because I think we've always been the most lenient, if you will, right? We don't get that many people who come. When they come, they usually feel very passionate about something that we
You guys feel
we
passionate.
listen. Right, I mean, they're still here. They don't have to be here, so they can. So, yeah, so it would be a shame if we lost that, but I certainly understand that we need to be consistent.
I think that it's spoke of town management. I think people are in general moving towards the coming up with the policy. Even the select board talked about putting on their agenda about like, okay, each person gets this many minutes, open comment is a total of this many minutes. And that we really just have to hold people to it, and that if somebody does not speak, because I said, what if somebody doesn't stop? What if they just keep going and they will leave? So they instructed us to move to adjourn the meeting, and then like to another day, reconvene another time. Because that was my question, like, what if we can't get this person to stop?
Well, I mean, luckily we haven't ever had that issue, but
Well, if open comment was at the end of the meeting,
it could,
They-
right.
they would, you did deal with that.
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Commission policies, I think we're kind of just always working on, you know, everything that we have. If anything new pops up, we'll add that to it or add or adjust or edit. The Trail Steward meetings.
We have formulated a Google form for those who are interested in doing it.
That's great. When have we sent it out or will we?
Oh, we haven't sent it out yet, just because we're reviewing it internally, and then I also have Rachel in our office. We're creating a brochure, reformulating what we had previous.
Okay, great. And when was the last time we had a Trail Steward program? Before COVID?
2020.
2020, okay. All right. Next up, capital projects. You went over that. I think we're sitting pretty good here.
Dashboard.
Got it. CPC. no real new updates.
No,
Okay.
I've not been, Chris and I have talked about this, but I have been slammed. I have had so many conflicts. I've not been able to attend. I've tried to keep up, but as I understand, there's no updates.
Okay. Thank you very much for that. Playgrounds and facilities.
Like I said, we're chipping away at the playgrounds. I'm working with the schools. They're using some of their money to help fix the playgrounds that are on school grounds, which has been very helpful. It's interesting that in the same town, how different the school operates in procurement as we do, and how quickly or not so quickly things move. So depending on what's going on, it's like, well, all right, you do that because that'll be faster on your end, and I'll do this one. So, but it's been great to work with them. They've been really helpful. They want everything done yesterday, and because they're all leaving, and I'm like, this is not a great time. So we're working out all the bumps and things like that, but they've been super helpful. And then for facilities, I don't know if I've sent it to all of you, but there is a group of people that would like bike parking at the pool. And they have come to the staff and some other people and sent me some emails, and I told them that we would look into it and see what we can do to come up with a compromise. I did reach out to town management, and she was like, I don't think you have the authority. I think that's planning board. So I reached out to planning board and got the special permit. We in fact cannot change any parking spots.
We can't delegate it or designate it as another.
Cannot officially change anything. I have instructed my staff of, you know, the pool supervisors that they don't need to go head to head with anybody about a bike parked anywhere. We'll come up with a solution that they're not in love with. We're going to try and go to the next solution. So we're working on the bike parking, but we officially, because we have the exact number of parking spots in these two lots.
Yes, we can. Yeah,
So
we don't have that power.
We don't have that power. But is there another space that we can, that's flatter than the one up front? Maybe. So I'm going to work with the planning board and see what, if she has any ideas. And we'll circle back with the bike people.
So is the issue, because I did read what you said, and it seems like the issue is not just bikes, but people come with these larger bikes, right? These bikes that are pulling.
So they're larger, sort of, I don't want to call them cargo bikes. It's a commuter bike, so they, you know, a couple kids on the front and a cargo thing on the
so
back.
bike rack will not accommodate that. It's going to
And
be specialized.
they're heavier.
Yeah.
Some of them are e-bikes, so they do have motors in them. So they can't necessarily be parked on a hill, so tip over for safety. Right. So there's all these different things that are happening, and we're just trying to, as you know, other than the parking lot, there's not a lot of level land.
Yeah, there goes a bike right now.
And
right. Speak, there goes a bike.
And you know, we can't have I did ask, I said specifically, you can't use the sidewalks because sidewalks are ADA, you cannot run right here because they are also exactly ADA. So we're trying to brainstorm.
So it would seem like if we can't find a spot, that we would want to look at parking spots, which involves going back to the planning board, and unfortunately would be taking parking spaces, which we're so short of.
Which I don't know that legally we can do.
Well,
without
the planning board would have to tell us if we could do that, but those larger bikes require a lot of spots. It's not just one parking spot where you can line up 6 or 8 or 10 bikes, right? Those bigger things, be able to stay in the state. So, and
then they want me to encourage the rest of the town to bike, but if we have more bikes, then we have more parking concerns.
Right.
Because we're still gonna
be friendly, but we don't know.
We're still full.
Do it right.
Like we're always full. The parking lot is always full. So we're working on it, but you should just be aware. I believe there's some chatter on the Facebook groups that I refuse to go on, but
right. And when we designed the pool and the parking and everything, we thought about a bike rack. I don't think anyone had ever thought about these bigger.
They didn't exist.
Right. Yeah. So this is back in 2015.
Yeah. And we have a bike rack and it is full every single day.
Right. They won't accommodate these out there. Mr. Chairman,
Oh, if you didn't, I was. So go ahead.
And I also do look at Facebook. I don't ever respond, but it seemed like there was some issue at Harry Potter that was going on with that.
It was
yes.
brought to our attention.
It wasn't us, but it was.
Quietly blown out of proportion.
It seemed it.
We basically called Wu and Wu went over there and handled it. I think it's time, basically, every couple of months, we send Eddie over to pick up all the buggies that get dropped off for the kids.
Right.
And we,
Mrs. Wheels.
and so he takes them all out of them, brings them to the RTS, we get a whole new flash of people posting that are now upset that I took away the kids' toys, but.
No, they gotta go, they've got to be doing
So I think we're just in that time where we should probably do that, but you know, Eddie just seems getting ready for 4th, so after the 4th, we'll go in and make a clean sweep.
Okay.
But yes, it was brought to our attention and we'll
Thank you.
Stacy, is there a sand or a water table at that park?
There is a few nannies that bring their own sand and water table for their kids.
Okay. Okay.
So we don't have any of those things that.
Okay, that's what I was, yeah, that's what I was asking. Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anything, was that the only question?
Yeah,
Okay.
that,
Michelle, any questions?
No.
You sure?
I'm sure.
That's your time. Just some follow-up questions, just for peace of mind here. I know this has nothing to do with us, but the Rivoli water main project at Claxton, is there any ETA of when those big pieces of equipment will all be gone and that will go back to grass or whatever they decide to put there? Because I know it's the
We
water
had a
main.
meeting last week, they are moving forward, we don't have any.
Okay. Got it, okay.
Cause I drove by there today and everything.
It's
Mhm.
drive by pretty much every day and just thinking. The over at Perry, the porta potty, can we find a new home for that somewhere? Because I know a few neighbors in there, and boy, it's great that they have my number. They text all the time. If there's a better possible location to maybe put that, if it now is going to stay there throughout the whole summer.
What would you like?
I would love to keep it there because it is a field that needs it, but if we
Do
can
you have
maybe
a suggestion on location? Cause in the few years I've been here, no matter where we drop it.
isn't there a fence, so if you're looking at the field? Softball field is to the right, playground is to the, sorry, softball field is to the left, playground is to the right. There's a fence before the house on the other side of the playground, correct? Can we put it kind of close to there instead of just like right in the middle?
Is it ADA accessible?
It's right where they have the new sidewalk that was poured.
Sure.
Okay,
You can have it moved there.
thank you, sir.
Do we need it over the summer? Are we keeping other locations over the summer?
Greens we keep,
Yeah.
Newman we keep. The Phasio will keep this year.
I was gonna ask that, thank you.
We haven't in the past, we got more calls this year for Perry, so we can pull it and see what happens, because we can always put it back.
It does feel like it is a cost. So
Mhm.
and if we're thinking about, and I don't know if it's cheaper just to have it all year round than to have a pickup and drop off, but if we're trying to save costs, I think it would
There's
make
no
sense.
bulk saving there.
But to do it while we can, it should be when the fields are like prioritizing the fields
Mhm.
use. Like DeFazio. Probably might only need them in. August. Not much.
No, we have.
Oh, I would keep the patient there
Traffic.
all
We
year.
have, like, we have stuff there all the time, I just,
Trying to
people are
set-
people are breaking into the building and using that, so,
Building what, oh, at Spazio?
yeah.
The only other two comments I had, I'll do the easy one first. DeFazio parking lot. I think the signs are helping that we put up the one ways. I know there's been certain times I've been there throughout the day and people still just drive right through
Straight through.
where it says do not enter. And I know I have my daughter with me and she's like, embarrass me. And I'm like, yep, I'm gonna do it. So it's just, I don't know why people don't think just, oh, it's I think that's a lot. That and the only other place would be Claxton is people love to go in the first exit where there's a very small sign that says exit only. That I'm just afraid there's gonna be an accident there one day. So if we're gonna be swapping, okay, then it's part of the project, part of the project.
Giant arrows that people.
Love it. Nope, that's great. The only other thing I will bring up is the cleaning contract that we have with this company.
Yeah, June 30th.
We can't do anything until June 30th. Is that when it, so it ends? Okay, that's fantastic. That's
It is good.
Well, I was there, I thought we were never.
but after that, what happens?
Goes back up again.
Okay.
And
Understood.
our current pool contractors who are lovely, very, very thorough, shall we say? One dinner.
Okay. We're also hearing the concerns that the bathrooms are being locked at the most randomest of times. Does Woo have a key to the bathrooms at, say, Claxton and Mills? Or do we think that is a possible idea as a backup? Because if he's out.
So he should have keys to all of them. I cannot find keys to Mills. I had to call DPW. So that one is a conundrum because we keep opening it and it keeps getting off. So the only people that have keys to that would be the people that are cleaning it. Or not cleaning it.
We're not getting those keys back.
They're not.
Yeah.
I play softball on Wellesley, not Wellesley, Wayland. They have bathrooms. And they have a combo combination. You know,
Like to get in?
to get in. So if groups are using it, they know the code, it's locked.
Mm-hmm.
Just a thought.
We'd have to rekey everything, but
Yeah, some,
yeah.
No, it's an idea.
But then they're not open to the public. And so the bathrooms that we,
no, it doesn't
Yeah.
mean they're not locked. I mean, a lot of times they keep them open,
open, okay,
but I'm just saying that if they are locked, then it's not
then it's not,
a hassle having to find a key or.
yeah.
Last thing I just have, and I know I keep on having more things that pop up in my mind. I know 50% of this is us and 50% of this is Memorial Park trustees, but the defibrillators at the fields. I know Memorial is probably an easier one. There's this phone line there. I know with Claxton, I think it was made last suggestion that with the project being done on the cloud, if there's any way that we could get, because it was the phone line is the biggest issue that we have going to Fazio. If there's any way that we could sneak that in somehow to have a phone line attached to the pavilion at.
Well, now it doesn't have to be a phone line, it can be a Wi-Fi.
Okay.
Roller, but.
But you need, yeah, you gotta have something. I mean, if we're putting.
Discussing that.
Okay, perfect.
Wasn't the town going to come up with a policy about this, or was that not? That's not happening. Okay, I thought that was on the list of things that we're gonna be looked at. There's an overall plan.
There's no official policy other than, yes, we want to do this.
Okay. Promise that was the last one. Anybody else?
Yeah, I just have a question about the defibrillator. Sorry, I'm sick. At Fazio. So I understand like it has, somebody has to be able to call, or it has to be able to call out to 911, but can we still put one there just to have one there? I mean, wouldn't that be better than not? Or no? Does that cause more problems? Because hopefully whoever's grabbing it is going to then call 911.
It's more about so what happens now is at any of these other places, if you pull the door open, it calls 911 and it takes a picture of the person opening it. If we just put a defibrillator down there, it will get stolen. And there's no way to did it. I'm also concerned with some of the vandalism around town to get one of those things in the hands of a child who thinks it's funny to
shock your
press
friend.
the buttons. So that's why I'm hesitant to just put one out there.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Thank you.
No, good question. All right, anything else in regards to any of the other topics on the discussion items? All right, here now we'll move on to the action items and approvals, which I think is page. Page 11 of your packet. Looking at the first one, we have dinner before services for August 6th. And here in the Rosemary Recreational October, sorry.
It's a group that's having a bar mitzvah.
It didn't, the only description that it gave was that it was dinner before services, and it didn't give an organization.
It's a family.
It's a family,
It's not an organization.
knowing of the family, I would.
It is a Friday night. Yes, it is about or some sort of Jewish services.
We've
We
seen this
are
before.
starting to get more and more requests for party type things in this room.
Do we see this in our last meeting and we were asking for more information? Or is this the first time we've seen this one? Okay.
But if you'd like to get more information.
No, I mean, I think this is one of the reasons why we have this multi-purpose room is that we could do programs in here and the night that we don't have programs, we could do other activities like this. That, I mean, I think I've said it before, is that we want to show off this complex. That if we don't have anything that night for our own program, why not rent it out to the public for an event, for something like this?
But don't they need special, if there's food or alcohol or something? Do we know if there's?
Yes, they would have to go through the certain, you know, all the requirements that they need to, depending on what they want to do. Yes, they would have to do that, but I think right now they're just looking for the use of the room, and if they do get the use of the room, they would then go the other steps that they need to.
Yep, they need a food permit from the Board of Health. They need to get, if they want to have alcohol, they have to go to the select board for that. If there's over a certain number of people, then they have to get a detail.
Yep.
They,
For private events.
it's in the policy. I didn't even
Just
look at
getting
it.
together with the policy, so, because we haven't done this, right?
Mhm.
Have we done?
The only
private
big
party?
event we did recently was a PTO event.
Yeah, which is not really a private party, because we have avoided birthday parties, anniversary parties, I was never in favor of that stuff when we back this, I think you were.
Mhm.
Right, going back when we did this with Matt too.
Oh, yeah,
Right, was not of.
Because we were-
of this.
yeah.
This type of. Mhm.
Well, we're getting a lot of people doing it in Memorial. We're getting a lot of requests for that.
Yeah.
Some paid, some not paid, depending on the groups and what they do.
So this is a private request?
Yes, this is an individual that lives in Needham that is asking for the use of the room.
We did have somebody email recently about a bonus, but so like to have the party here.
Okay. Cross that bridge when we get to it. All right, so we're talking about this right now. What do people think?
Well, I just want to know what our policy says.
Yeah.
What did we put in our policy?
We can email, I'll have Derek,
We got some time. This is the good thing about this one. We got some time. on this
Not a
one.
lot of, it's up what, 2.5 hours.
one of it, yeah, it's not,
Dinner.
it's not,
Right.
we're not all going out to dinner. on them.
No.
But we can send it around the policy, so that you guys have it again, this week.
Right, because we haven't looked at this for a while.
Yeah.
Well, it's the first time we've really had to look at it.
And it feels like the process around it is like, there's one thing to have the policy, but then how do we implement the policy, right? It's kind of like the car wash, right? Is it first come, first serve? Is it, do we allow people to bring in applications and then at a certain date we decide, and how do we decide? And so I do think that there are some nuances to the way that we're implementing it, particularly because it's private. It's different if it's part of the town organization.
Right,
We've been
it's a
doing,
PTO, right.
yeah, or
Mhm.
if there's two groups that are vying for the same location, we might try to talk to them about shifting one, but
Sure.
I think that's harder with private families. And so I think we need to really nail down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would agree.
All right, so what we'll do is that, I mean, we do have some time with this, but I think people want to know sooner than later. So if we could have a policy update before our next meeting.
We'll send out the policy this week, and
Okay.
I'll see if we can get more information out of the user to find out, like, just to confirm they're just a family or whatever it is that they want.
Right, did they build a special family?
Yes,
They did.
Can we have the special event requests included in the agenda again?
Yeah, I know
Or
it
just
adds
more-
on, but it's good to have that kind of information there.
I would also ask that we think about some sort of follow-up, because if they request the location, this is a dinner thing. So if they request the location first and then they go and get their food permit, how do we know they actually went through that process?
Board of Health checks in with us.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a bunch of cross checking.
For sure.
Yeah, they usually come over and say, hey, we just got a request for a permit, do you know about this?
Okay,
Happens quite a bit, yeah.
You know, we need to revisit this policy anyway, so
Okay.
it's good that it comes up. All my policies in my folders are field policies.
And just so you know, they wouldn't have access at 4:30 because we're building the 5.
Right, yeah, okay.
They wouldn't be able to get in until 5 o'clock. I don't know if that messes with their particular services, because I know it's usually done before sundown, so I don't have to check in with them.
Okay,
So this might be a moot point, because they can't be.
let's go
But I
back
think
to
we
them
need
first.
Determine why the answer would be.
Yes.
Yep.
Policy or.
Okay,
Right, if the policy allows it, then what would be the try to accommodate?
all right, so we're gonna punt that one back. Next up, we have the trunk or treat. Just open your trunk, get some candy. We have done this before. I think we've even done it here, as a matter of fact, right?
We've
I
done
thought
it.
we did. Okay.
I did it in my own community, people would love it,
Yeah, it's a Sunday.
All right. I will entertain a motion for the trunk or treat at the Newman PTC.
I'll make a motion that we approve the trunk or treat, organized by the Newman BTC for October 22nd, 2023.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All right, hearing none, all those in favor?
All those in favor.
I would say all those in favor by roll call. We'll take a roll call vote on this one. We'll go with Dina, our guest of honor here on screen tonight.
Yes, okay.
Jim,
Yes.
Cindy,
Yes.
Michelle,
Yes.
I'm also an aye, so it passes unanimously. All right,
Looking at the kindergarten meetup, this is more informational. It's the PTC asking for their playground
as long as, I mean,
and.
There's more of a courtesy.
More of a courtesy. So
okay.
you would like to approve it, great, if not.
I mean, you don't really need to, because it's not our parcel, it's just more of a courtesy. Okay. That is it we have for special event request. Right. Policy approvals, we have none. Fee approvals. I know we have been punting this and punting this and punting this forever. I think we all agree that starting in 2024, there's going to be a new fee structure for all of our user groups. That we need to make a decision, at least for you and the user groups, of when we need to do this by. I don't think Monday, the July 10th meeting is the time to do it, but I think I would say Monday, July 24th and Monday, August 14th are going to be the two meetings that we're going to have to discuss what we're doing for user fees. I think we all agree there's going to be a raise in all the user fees, but what is that going to go towards? It's going to go towards bathrooms, field maintenance, duty cops at Tefazio. Like there are a few.
For the increased cost of grass seed.
The increased cost of grass seed and any sanity. I mean, things like that. So be prepared. It's probably going to be a two meeting about that, because it's a lot of user groups that are going to be affected. And I think just out of courtesy, just by knowing this, that in August, you're going to start sending out your spring registrations a few weeks after that. So if you're talking, so we need to have something intact by then, because we've told the user groups, I think we told them at the Field Summit this year that coming in 2024, there is going to be a user fee increase.
I think Anna's gonna start working on that proposal.
That is fantastic. So it's one of those things of like, all right, if we're going to raise it, how much are we going to raise it by, and what are we going to use the funds to do besides grass seed? Okay. Fee approvals, that's it. Minutes of the meetings of our previous meetings. Now we have a quorum, we can all do this. All right, so we have the minutes of the meeting of May 30th. Cindy was absent at that one, but we do have a quorum to approve those minutes, so I will take. She wasn't here. Where were you? In Mexico or someplace else in that one? Okay, of course. Sorry, just want to make sure. Okay. So I will entertain a motion for the minutes of the meeting of May 30th.
Motion.
Got a motion, do I hear a second? Second. All right, I have a motion to second, and I will go to a roll call vote. Dina.
Aye.
Jim. Michelle.
Aye.
I am also an aye.
Abstain.
We have one abstain. Okay. And I think that was the only minutes that we had, correct?
Mhm.
All All right, let me go back to the top. Issues not reasonably anticipated by the chair within 48 hours. I really don't have much. The topics for the future meetings, I think we do keep a lot of discussion items open. So if something does come into fields, facility policies, anything that we kind of have it in there, but we do have that discretion of the chair within 48 hours. I think I wrote one more note down.
I think we should add in one of the meetings coming up prior to the start of fall, when permits are being, maybe discuss the possibility if there's a need for a detail for
Yes.
some busier days.
No, it's a good point. One other thing that I brought up, I would love to hear feedback from the user groups that had the new car wash area this year. That I know
They
there were some
loved
user
it.
groups. All right, so I would love to hear from all the user groups. I don't need to know how much they made, but I would love to hear, hey, it's the first year. I know it was just not everybody got in, but I'd love to hear what the user groups had for feedback of what worked, what didn't work, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
They all,
All right.
they may not have been the first time.
Sure, okay.
So,
I
it wasn't
can
like
get-
No,
we just-
okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, just honestly, the feedback of, you know, hey, the traffic pattern, we had to get used to it, or whatever it might be. I mean, because it's not moving, but I'd love to hear if there's any ways we can improve, you know, how we do it. I'd love to hear from the user groups.
Chris, I'll have them reach out to you, but I heard from softball and girls lacrosse that it was actually really, really successful.
Good.
So they had a lot of cars, so I can definitely have them give you their specific feedback.
I heard a fire truck showed up to one of them.
I think it was softball, right?
Yeah, I heard it was like one of the other, it was either boys volleyball or softball, like literally a fire truck showed up
And wanted.
and wanted to get washed. So it's like,
Hannah will reach out to the groups and do a survey.
okay, no, that's great. Thank you. So the next meetings we have are Monday, July 10th, 24th, August 14th, and 28th. If anybody has any conflicts and can't make, just either reach out to the group. Stacy cannot meet the 10th.
I can be on Zoom, but I
Okay.
cannot be.
I cannot make the 10th.
I can't make the 10th either.
So it looks like we're not going to have a meeting. I think I might have a fever that pops up then, so I don't know if I can make the 10th. What we'll do is we'll convene and we'll let people know, but it seems like it might be tough to get a meeting on the 10th. So
Mr. Chair, I would
Yes.
ask for some topics that could be added to future agendas.
please do.
One, I would like us to look at our policies surrounding court use. I think
Okay.
that we need to address based on what we heard tonight and certainly what we heard the last year. How we're going to codify, right, how we allocate court space and think about it, you know, do something, even if it's a draft policy as to how we think it could work, and then we'll revisit it. But I think we need to make sure we have a policy in place, and then we have something to fall back on if there are conflicts, and we can adjust it if it doesn't.
I agree. I have been working on a court policy now. I'm trying to like crunch numbers in a different way.
Yeah.
See in what direction we're actually moving, but I agree because at least we can say, here's the policy.
Right, because it hasn't been an issue before, and we really never, I don't think it's a commission we have to address it, or a department need to address.
No, and when I looked up the court policy, it's dated, let's just say.
Yeah, I don't remember that we
It's
were
like
talking about it,
decades.
right,
Yeah.
because we didn't have to, but.
I think I read it once.
It's like 3 things.
You Google it.
Anyway, so it needs to be updated.
So that's one thing. The other thing I heard, this was some meeting the other night, it must have been, one of the town meetings, and they were talking about trust funds. And Park and Rec does have 1 or 2 trust funds. And years ago, we tried to access those trust funds, and you was so circuitous, it felt like you couldn't get there, and I believe you gave up. But our former director, tried very hard and did a lot of work, and we ended up not being able to figure it out, but there are some trust funds. And then there was also that other fund that we had for, we used it for some trail signs. Is it Mr. Street or somebody who left us, but there is money there we should be able to access, we could be able to access, whether or not we want to, but I would love if we could resurrect that. Maybe
Okay.
that's a fall project. It's
No.
not a right now project, but I would hate to lose. track of
Right,
that.
if money, I mean, if money's sitting there and you don't have access to it, you don't want to go to waste, you'd
Right.
love to use it for the means of why.
Right, again, if we can use it, if it makes sense. And then the third thing is I did locate policies that say, current policy due to parking recognition edition, January 6, 2020. And there is a section here about the building, this building, Rosemary Recreation Complex. So, maybe there is something more recent than that. I kind of doubt it, but,
No, that's not the most recent, because I didn't touch it.
right, and so this policy, I'm happy to send this around, it doesn't sound like it provides for, I'm gonna call it private use.
So what?
Right, and that's what I. So.
Okay, no,
so
no,
it doesn't look like, I'm happy to send this around if you want, or maybe you folks have it. in a-
We have it, yeah.
But it doesn't look, it's page 3 of that policy where it starts to talk about this complex. And I don't see where it allows us to do what these people are. So with that policy, we may want to revisit, right? If that's something that we think we might entertain. in.
Okay, no, that's great. Anything else? Last thing I will bring up is that I know the Exchange Club does a fantastic job and they are preparing for one of the best events that the town has, being July 3rd with the fireworks and July 4th with the parade. My close personal friend Sean Hannigan is actually going to be raising the flag at Memorial for the event. That I honestly, if you haven't been there before, Exchange Club has always done a great job. They've had the same company that's been doing it for a while. Atlas, just, I mean, they are just fantastic. So
25 minutes. We weren't overly thrilled with last year's show. We thought it was a little short, and so the club had a conversation with Atlas and maybe 2.
I'm a little shaky with the leadership of the Exchange Club right now, but I think that I think they're going to do a great job in doing this. But it is, when you think of, you know, of what it's like to be around for the 4th of July in a community like this, the 2 days, it's action packed for the, you know, the period that it is. And I think everyone does a great job. The Exchange Club, the town, making everything great. I just hope everybody has a chance to enjoy it.
Yeah, the town DPW was a job.
Yeah. Everyone does great. Perfect. I don't have anything else. Anybody? Nope. What?
No, I said thank
Nope.
you.
Okay. All right. I have a motion to adjourn. Do I have your second? All right. I will take a roll call vote. Dina Hannigan.
Aye.
Jim. Aye. Cindy.
Aye.
Michelle.
Aye.
I am also an aye. Pass unanimously, adjourn the meeting for the Park and Rec. Thank you all very much and have a great evening.